Imagine finding a cursed diamond, a horse attending official dinners with senators, or a surgeon so fast he accidentally caused 3 deaths in a single operation. These might sound like scenes from a movie, but they're all real. Today, we're diving into 22 of the most bizarre, shocking, and downright unbelievable moments in history. From mysterious curses to outrageous royal habits, this video will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the past. And the last story might just be the strangest of them all. Don't miss it. Ready to explore the unexpected? Let's begin. In 1793, the execution of Louis XVI marked a turning point in the French Revolution, but what happened immediately after his death is just as shocking. As the guillotine blade fell, a crowd gathered around the former king's decapitated body, many of them desperate for a souvenir. According to historical accounts, some individuals dipped their handkerchiefs in the royal blood pooling beneath the scaffold. These blood-soaked relics became prized possessions, seen as tangible symbols of the monarchy's downfall, or for some, as keepsakes of a tragic moment in history. Remarkably, one of these handkerchiefs resurfaced in 2011. Scientists conducted DNA testing on the fabric and confirmed it contained blood that matched the genetic profile of the French royal family, dating back to the time of Louis XVI. This morbid memento offers a chilling glimpse into the fascination and obsession people had with this monumental event. It reminds us of how history can leave behind not just written records but eerie physical artifacts of its most pivotal moments. Before he became Pope Pius II, Enea Silvio Piccolomini lived a very different life as a diplomat, writer, and poet. Among his many works, one stands out for its scandalous content, The Tale of Two Lovers, an erotic novel written in the 15th century. This book tells the steamy and dramatic story of 2 young lovers navigating forbidden romance amidst political intrigue. It became an instant bestseller of its time, celebrated for its vivid descriptions and emotional depth. Ironically, the author of this racy tale would later rise to become the leader of the Catholic Church. Once he donned the papal robes, Pius II distanced himself from his earlier works, focusing on theological and diplomatic matters. However, The Tale of Two Lovers remains a testament to the complexity of his character. How does a man who penned one of the most famous love stories of the Renaissance reconcile that with his role as the Vicar of Christ? History is full of contradictions, and Pope Pius II stands as one of the most fascinating examples. Robert Liston was one of the most famous surgeons of the 19th century, renowned for his speed in the operating room, a critical skill in a time before anesthesia. However, one particular operation earned him a morbid place in history, with what is jokingly referred to as a 300% mortality rate. During a high-stakes leg amputation in front of a group of spectators, Liston moved so quickly that he accidentally amputated not only the patient's leg, but also 2 of his assistant's fingers. As if that weren't shocking enough, one of the onlookers fainted from the sight, suffering a fatal heart attack. Tragically, both the patient and the assistant later died from infections caused by the operation. This macabre incident highlights the risks of surgery in the 19th century, where speed often took precedence over precision. Despite this infamous episode, Liston's innovations, such as the use of ether in operations, helped pave the way for safer surgical practices in the years to come. Before he became the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln made a name for himself as an accomplished wrestler. Standing at an impressive 6'4" tall, Lincoln was a towering figure both on and off the mat. In his younger years, Lincoln participated in nearly 300 wrestling matches, losing only once. His fighting style earned him local fame in New Salem, Illinois, where he was known for his strength and wit in the ring. He was so skilled that he was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame many years later. One story recounts Lincoln challenging an entire group of men to take him on, defeating them all with ease. His physical prowess and quick thinking in the ring were qualities he later carried into his political career, where he fought metaphorically instead of physically. Although he left wrestling behind as he ascended to the presidency, Lincoln's reputation as a fighter, both literally and figuratively, remains a fascinating chapter of his life. During the French Revolution, the guillotine became a symbol of both justice and equality. It was designed to deliver a quick, painless execution, a stark contrast to the brutal and inconsistent methods used previously, such as hanging or burning at the stake. The guillotine's origins trace back to Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotine, who proposed it as a humane alternative to older methods of capital punishment. Ironically, Guillotine himself did not invent the device, but his advocacy led to its widespread adoption. This machine was meant to embody the revolutionary ideals of equality, as everyone, regardless of their social status, would meet the same end. Nobles, clergy, and commoners alike were executed under the same blade. Most famously, King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were among its high-profile victims. The guillotine remained in use in France for nearly 2 centuries, with the last execution occurring in 1977. Its stark legacy as both a tool of justice and terror endures, reminding us of the turbulent times in which it rose to prominence. In the 18th century, a peculiar secret society called the Order of the Pug emerged in Bavaria. This paramasonic group was founded in 1740 by Roman Catholics who had been banned from joining traditional Masonic lodges. They chose the pug as their symbol, valuing the animal's loyalty and charm. To join the order, new members had to undergo bizarre initiation rituals. These included wearing a dog collar, scratching at the door to be let in, and even imitating the sounds of a pug. Once admitted, members participated in ceremonies filled with symbolism, including a porcelain pug as their sacred object. The society attracted both men and women, an unusual feature for secret groups at the time. It grew in popularity, spreading across Europe, but faded into obscurity by the early 19th century. Today, the Order of the Pug is remembered as a curious footnote in history, blending the mysterious allure of secret societies with an unexpected devotion to man's best friend. Nearly 500 years before Christopher Columbus set sail, the Vikings had already reached the shores of North America. Around the year 1000 AD, Leif Erikson, a Norse explorer from Greenland, landed on what is now known as Newfoundland, Canada. The settlement was called Vinland, named for the wild grapes found in the region. Unlike the stories of Columbus, the Viking expeditions didn't result in permanent colonization. Instead, they were brief ventures, as conflicts with indigenous peoples and the challenges of sustaining settlements far from home forced them to retreat. Archaeological evidence, such as the remains of a Norse settlement at L'Anse aux Meadows, confirms the Viking presence in North America long before any other Europeans. This discovery reshaped our understanding of exploration and challenged the long-held belief that Columbus was the first to discover the New World. The story of Vikings in America offers a fascinating glimpse into early transatlantic exploration and highlights their adventurous spirit, centuries ahead of their time. Speaking of Columbus, in 1504, during his 4th voyage to the Americas, Columbus found himself stranded in Jamaica with his ships damaged and his crew in dire need of supplies. The local indigenous people had initially provided food and support, but as time passed, tensions rose, and they became less willing to help. Columbus, ever the cunning navigator, had a secret weapon, an almanac by Johannes Müller, which accurately predicted a lunar eclipse for February 29, 1504. Seizing the opportunity, he devised a plan to manipulate the locals. Columbus warned them that his god was angry with their behavior and would punish them by taking away the moon. When the eclipse began, the indigenous people were terrified as the moon gradually disappeared. Columbus, timing his act perfectly, negotiated with his god, and promised to restore the moon if the people cooperated. As the eclipse ended, the moon returned, and the locals, now convinced of Columbus's divine connection, resumed providing food and aid. This clever use of astronomy highlights Columbus's ingenuity, but it also underscores the manipulative tactics he employed to maintain control in unfamiliar territories. Today, ketchup is a staple condiment in households worldwide, but in the 1830s, it was marketed as a medicine. An Ohio physician named Dr. John Cook began selling ketchup as a cure for indigestion and other stomach ailments. He claimed that the tomato-based concoction contained medicinal properties that could cleanse the body. Dr. Cook even published research to back his claims, leading to a short-lived ketchup pill craze. Entrepreneurs began bottling and selling the sauce not for culinary purposes but for its supposed health benefits. However, the trend faded as other remedies gained popularity, and ketchup was gradually relegated to the dining table. By the late 19th century, industrial production and the rise of brands like Heinz transformed ketchup into the sweet, tangy condiment we know today. From a health tonic to a fast food essential, ketchup's journey through history is a curious mix of innovation and marketing gone awry. The Tower of London is one of the most iconic landmarks in England, steeped in history and legend. One of its most peculiar traditions involves a group of black ravens that have called the tower home for centuries. According to legend, the presence of at least 6 ravens is crucial to the safety of the crown and the kingdom. This superstition dates back to the 17th century during the reign of King Charles II. It was said that if the ravens ever left the tower, both the monarchy and the Tower of London itself would fall. To prevent this from happening, Charles II decreed that a small flock of ravens must always be kept at the tower. To this day, the ravens are cared for by a dedicated raven master, and their wings are clipped slightly to ensure they don't stray too far. The tradition, though rooted in myth, has become a beloved part of British culture, blending superstition with history. Visitors to the tower can still see these majestic birds, standing as watchful guardians of the crown. During the Victorian era, a well-groomed mustache was a sign of sophistication and masculinity. However, it came with one major inconvenience. Drinking hot beverages like tea or coffee could cause the mustache to dip into the liquid, leaving it stained or soggy. To solve this problem, an ingenious invention emerged: the mustache cup. These specially designed porcelain cups featured a small ledge or guard across the top with an opening for drinking. The guard acted as a barrier, protecting the mustache from getting wet. Mustache cups quickly became popular among gentlemen of the era, and they were often elaborately decorated with floral patterns, gold accents, or even custom monograms. They became a status symbol as much as a practical solution. Though the mustache cup fell out of favor as facial hair trends changed in the 20th century, it remains a fascinating relic of Victorian ingenuity. Collectors today prize these quirky artifacts as a glimpse into the peculiar habits of the past. Today, the Olympics are synonymous with athletic prowess. But did you know that between 1912 and 1948, the Games also celebrated artistic talent? During this period, medals were awarded in categories such as painting, literature, music, architecture, and sculpture. The only requirement? The works had to be inspired by sports or the Olympic spirit. The idea came from Pierre de Coubertin, the founder of the modern Olympics, who believed that art and athletics should go hand in hand to honor the ancient Greek tradition. Winning entries included poems, symphonies, and even stadium designs. Despite its noble intentions, the artistic competitions were eventually discontinued. The main reason? Many participants were professional artists, which clashed with the Olympics' amateur ethos at the time. Today, this chapter of Olympic history remains a little-known but fascinating glimpse into how the Games once aimed to celebrate the full spectrum of human creativity. In ancient Greece, the Olympic Games were as much a spiritual celebration as a test of athletic skill. One striking difference from modern times? The athletes competed entirely naked. This tradition, known as gymnos in Greek, was deeply rooted in their culture. Competing without clothing was seen as a way to honor the gods and celebrate the beauty of the human form. It was also believed to enhance performance by allowing greater freedom of movement. Spectators, who were typically men, viewed these events as a combination of religious ritual and entertainment. However, women were forbidden from attending most events, with the exception of priestesses. The word gymnasium, still used today, originates from this practice, as it literally means a place to train naked. While the tradition of nude competition faded with time, it serves as a reminder of how deeply the ancient Greeks valued both physical excellence and spiritual devotion. Ancient Egypt is renowned for its stunning art and elaborate burial practices, but one surprising discovery sheds light on their personal adornments: tattoos. Some mummies, dating back nearly 5,000 years, bear intricate tattoo designs on their skin. The oldest known examples were found on the mummies of a man and a woman discovered in Ghibeline, a site near the Nile. The man's tattoos depict horned animals, likely symbolizing strength and protection, while the woman's designs include abstract patterns thought to have spiritual or magical significance. These tattoos challenge earlier assumptions that body art was uncommon in ancient Egypt. Instead, they reveal that tattoos played a role in their culture, possibly signifying social status, religious devotion, or even serving as talismans against harm. The discovery of these ancient tattoos offers a fascinating glimpse into how humans have used body art as a means of expression for thousands of years, connecting the past to practices still celebrated today. During the Middle Ages, fashion wasn't just a matter of personal taste, it was strictly regulated by law. Known as sumptuary laws, these rules dictated what people could wear based on their social rank and wealth. For example, in 14th century England, only nobles were allowed to wear certain luxurious fabrics like silk or ermine. The color purple, symbolizing royalty, was also restricted to members of the royal family. Violators of these laws faced harsh penalties, ranging from fines to public shaming. The purpose of these laws was to maintain social order and prevent commoners from appearing wealthier than they were. However, they often led to creative attempts at bypassing the rules, with merchants and middle-class citizens finding ways to mimic high fashion without breaking the law. While sumptuary laws are a thing of the past, they highlight the lengths to which societies have gone to enforce distinctions between classes, sometimes in the most superficial ways. Caligula, one of Rome's most infamous emperors, was known for his eccentric and often absurd behavior. Among his most bizarre actions was his obsession with his favorite horse, Incitatus. Caligula adored Incitatus so much that he reportedly built the horse a luxurious marble stall, gave him a jeweled collar, and even provided a team of servants to attend to his every need. But the emperor didn't stop there. He also invited Incitatus to official dinners, treating him as an honored guest. Some accounts suggest that Caligula even planned to make Incitatus a consul, one of the highest political offices in Rome. While this claim is debated by historians, it reflects the extravagant and erratic reputation of the emperor. Incitatus has since become a symbol of Caligula's reign, an era marked by excess, unpredictability, and the thin line between power and madness. In ancient Greece, red hair was incredibly rare and surrounded by superstition. Greeks believed that redheads possessed unique and sometimes dangerous qualities, with one of the most bizarre myths suggesting that they would turn into vampires after death. This belief may have stemmed from the stark contrast between red hair and the dark features typical of Mediterranean populations. The rarity of red hair likely made it a source of fascination and fear. Red-haired individuals were also thought to have fiery tempers and an untamed spirit, further fueling their mysterious reputation. In some cases they were associated with magical powers, often cast as witches or sorcerers in folklore. While these myths are now viewed as cultural curiosities, they highlight how ancient societies used physical traits to construct elaborate stories and legends, often blending reality with superstition in fascinating ways. Today, the Colosseum in Rome stands as a symbol of ancient grandeur, but its current state tells only part of the story. Originally, the Colosseum was covered in gleaming white marble, which gave it an even more majestic appearance. After the fall of the Roman Empire, however, the Colosseum became a source of building materials for the city's inhabitants. During the Middle Ages and Renaissance, marble slabs were stripped from the Colosseum and repurposed for other constructions, including churches and palaces. One of the most famous recipients of this plundered marble was St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. Ironically, the very symbol of Christianity was partially built, using materials taken from a site where early Christians were persecuted. Today, the pockmarked facade of the Colosseum stands as a reminder of both its original splendor and the centuries of history that followed, when Rome itself underwent dramatic transformation. Viking ships are legendary for their speed and engineering, but one feature often overlooked is their prow figures, intricately carved wooden sculptures mounted on the bow of the ships. These figures, often depicting dragons, serpents, or other mythical creatures, were designed to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. The carvings weren't just for intimidation, they also held spiritual significance. Vikings believed that the figures could ward off evil spirits and protect their ships during long, treacherous journeys. Interestingly, the prows were sometimes detachable. When entering friendly or neutral territories, the Vikings would remove the figures to avoid offending the local spirits or deities. These prow figures symbolize the duality of Viking culture: fierce warriors on one hand, deeply spiritual and respectful of the supernatural on the other. Even today, they remain one of the most iconic aspects of Viking history and craftsmanship. One of the longest wars in history lasted a staggering 335 years, but it was entirely bloodless. The conflict began in 1651 between the Netherlands and the Isles of Scilly, a small archipelago off the southwestern coast of England. The origins of the war were rooted in the English Civil War. during which the Dutch sided with the parliamentarians against the royalists. After some naval skirmishes, the Dutch declared war on the royalist-held Scilly Isles. However, the conflict quickly fizzled out, with no battles fought and no casualties recorded. Remarkably, the war was never formally ended, and it became a quirky historical footnote until 1986. That year, a peace treaty was finally signed between Dutch and local officials, officially ending the 335-year conflict. This absurdly long war stands as a humorous reminder of how history sometimes creates peculiar stories that stretch across centuries. The Hope Diamond is one of the most famous gems in the world, not just for its size and brilliance but for the sinister reputation it carries. Believed to be cursed, this 45.52-carat diamond has been linked to a string of misfortunes and tragedies for those who owned or wore it. The diamond's history traces back to 17th-century India, where it was allegedly stolen from a temple. It passed through the hands of numerous owners, including King Louis XIV of France. After the French Revolution, it disappeared, only to resurface in the 19th century. Among its rumored victims is Princess de Lamballe, a close companion of Marie Antoinette, who was brutally murdered during the Revolution. Later owners faced financial ruin, scandal, or untimely deaths, fueling the legend of the curse. Today, the Hope Diamond resides in the Smithsonian Institution, drawing millions of visitors each year. Whether cursed or not, its history is a dazzling mix of beauty, power, and mystery. The Aztecs were known for their grand temples and elaborate rituals, but one of their most chilling practices was the construction of Tzompantli, massive walls made of human skulls. These macabre structures were built to honor the gods and intimidate enemies. The skulls were typically those of war captives or individuals sacrificed during religious ceremonies. The Tzompantli often adorned temple complexes with skulls neatly arranged on wooden racks or embedded in stone. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the early 16th century, they were horrified by the sight of these skull walls. Accounts from the time describe thousands of skulls displayed in orderly rows, a testament to the Aztecs' commitment to their beliefs. Archaeologists have since unearthed remnants of Tzompantli in modern-day Mexico City, providing tangible evidence of this ritual. These discoveries continue to shed light on the complex and often brutal practices of one of history's most fascinating civilizations. And there you have it, 22 of the most bizarre, fascinating, and downright unbelievable moments in history. From cursed diamonds and royal blood-soaked souvenirs to the absurdity of a centuries-long bloodless war, these stories remind us just how strange and unpredictable our past truly is. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Was it the Vikings arriving in America before Columbus? Or perhaps the chilling walls of skulls built by the Aztecs? Let us know your favorite in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this journey through history's strangest tales, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story. We've got even more incredible episodes lined up, exploring the darkest, weirdest, and most intriguing corners of history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the unexpected.